Imagine, you're 80 years old, you've lived in the same house for decades, but it's seen better days,
Right.
Things are breaking, and you just can't afford to fix them.
Yeah. Tough situation.
It's heartbreaking, and sadly, it's something we see a lot of in a place like New Orleans.
Definitely.
But here's the thing. There are people out there trying to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of those groups, the New Orleans Education League of the Construction Industry, NOEL for short.
And it's not just about slapping on a new coat of paint. NOEL takes a much deeper approach, making sure these homes are safe, accessible, really understanding what each homeowner needs.
Yeah, that's what intrigued me. It's about more than just like the construction itself.
Yeah.
So before we get into the details of what they do, could you give me a sense of how NOEL fits into the broader picture of construction in the Gulf South?
Sure. So NOEL is a nonprofit, which is kind of unusual in the construction world.
Interesting.
They work closely with the Home Builders Association of Greater New Orleans, but their mission is a bit broader than just building stuff. It's about education, it's about being a resource, and it's about giving back, all to try to lift up the entire industry.
Okay, so we've got this organization connected to construction, but with a heavy focus on community support. Education sounds like an interesting mix. What are some real-world examples of how that plays out?
One of their biggest programs is the Owner-Occupied Rehabilitation Program. Basically, they work with elderly homeowners, low-income homeowners in Jefferson Parish who need vital repairs but just don't have the means to pay for them.
So it's about more than making things look pretty, it's about making these houses livable, safe.
Exactly. We're talking fixing dangerous wiring, patching leaky roofs, improving accessibility for folks who have trouble getting around stuff that has a huge impact on someone's life.
Yeah, I bet. I was actually on their website earlier, and their before and after pictures are amazing. It's like they're not just fixing houses, they're giving people back a sense of pride, of security in their own homes.
Absolutely. And it shows that NOEL really gets the connection between someone's home and how they feel about, well, everything. A safe, functional home is the foundation for a stable life.
That's powerful.
Hmm.
But they do more than just individual houses, right? They've got other stuff going on that impacts the whole construction industry. I saw something called Day of Design. What's the deal with that?
Oh, Day of Design is cool. It's an annual thing they do where they open their doors to everyone, showing off the projects they're working on, introducing their team, really emphasizing the whole teamwork aspect of what they do.
So it's like a behind-the-scenes look at how construction actually works and how it affects people in the community.
Exactly. NOEL is all about being transparent, about getting the community involved. They want people to see the positive impact they're having.
I can see how that would be really powerful, especially in New Orleans, after everything they've gone through with rebuilding. People need to know that the work is being done the right way with the community in mind.
Yeah, for sure. And that same idea of giving back to the community that carries over into everything they do, especially education. It's a major part of NOEL's mission. They offer all sorts of workshops and seminars to make sure construction professionals are always up on the latest.
Okay, so tell me more about that. What kind of education are we talking about here? Is it general construction stuff, or are they focusing on specific areas? Okay, so tell me more about that. What kind of education are we talking about here? Is it general construction stuff, or are they focusing on specific areas?
It's kind of both, actually. They cover a wide range of topics, from the basics of being safe on a job site to keeping up with the latest building codes, all that stuff. But what's really cool is that they look at what's going on in the industry, what challenges contractors are facing, and they tailor their classes to meet those needs.
So they're like, hey, here's a problem. Let's create a course to solve it.
Exactly. Perfect example. Remember those hurricanes we had a while back, one right after the other?
Yeah, how could I forget?
Well, NOEL realized that a lot of contractors were having trouble keeping up with the newest roofing regulations, all the insurance stuff that comes after a storm like that.
Right, because everything changes after a disaster.
For sure. So they put together this whole workshop, Roofing for Contractors. They brought in everyone. Building inspectors, insurance adjusters, experienced roofers, everyone who knows roofing. It was all about giving contractors the latest info, the practical stuff they needed to deal with those post-hurricane headaches.
That makes a lot of sense. And I bet contractors really appreciate that kind of practical training. Did they get anything like official out of it? Some kind of certification or something?
Oh, yeah. They could earn continuing education units, those CEUs that a lot of them need to keep their licenses current.
Oh, wow. That's huge. It's one thing to have a workshop, but to connect it to professional development like that, that shows they really get what working contractors need.
Exactly. And it all ties back to their big picture goal of raising the bar for the entire construction industry. By giving contractors the knowledge they need, the credentials they need, NOEL is helping to make sure that the rebuilding that happens in New Orleans is done right, not just now, but down the road, too.
I love that. It's like they're playing the long game, building up the community by investing in the people who are literally doing the building.
That's it. And it goes beyond just the technical side of things, too. They've got classes on communication, on how to manage projects, even financial literacy, all that stuff that contractors need to not just survive, but to really make their businesses work.
So it's about the whole package, giving them the tools to thrive in the industry.
Exactly. And speaking of doing well, we can't forget about NOEL's commitment to giving back.
Right. I was just thinking about that. We've talked about the homeowners, the contractors, but there's that whole other side to what they do, that community focus. What can you tell me about that?
So the specific things they do might change from year to year, but that dedication to their community, it's at the core of who they are. It might be lending a hand with a local park that needs fixing up. Maybe it's pitching in after a storm or working with other nonprofits to build affordable housing. But they're always looking for ways to make a difference that go beyond just, the usual construction stuff.
Okay, so they're not just writing checks, they're rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty.
That's exactly it. And again, it shows that they get the big picture. They know that a strong construction industry depends on having a community that's strong and healthy too.
It's really something, seeing an organization that's so plugged into making their community better. But all of this, the programs, the classes, the charity work, it takes a lot of dedicated people to pull it off. Who's really steering the ship over there?
Well, NOEL has a board of directors, and these are people who are really passionate about what they do. They all come from the construction world, architects, contractors, suppliers, so they know how things work.
So it's not just a bunch of names on a page. These are people who are really involved in making NOEL what it is.
Oh yeah, totally hands-on. They're involved in all of it. Planning, fundraising, making sure NOEL is staying true to its mission, all of that.
That's always what gets me, knowing that there are real people behind organizations like this working hard to make a difference. It's pretty great.
I agree. It really is. It's a reminder that even in a field like construction, which can seem kind of, all business, there are people who really care about their community.
For sure. So we've covered a lot, from fixing up houses to helping out contractors and giving back to the community. If someone's listening and they never really thought about how much goes on behind the scenes in construction, what's the one thing you hope they take away from this?
I think it's that places like NREL, they show us that an industry that's all about, building things can actually be a really powerful force for good. They remind us that it's not just about the buildings themselves, but the people who live and work in them.
That's a really good point. It's like, yeah, we need buildings, we need roads, all that, but it doesn't mean much without a strong community to back it up.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder what else a group like NOEL could do down the road, especially in a place like New Orleans with climate change and all that. They need to build things that can withstand anything. NOEL could be a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. They could be the ones helping to plan new developments, making sure building codes are strong enough after the next hurricane, even running, practice disasters to help people get ready.
Exactly. Or think about training the next generation of construction workers. NOEL can make sure they know the latest techniques, but also that they care about the community, about making things that will last.
Wow, yeah. Now we're talking about a whole new generation of builders who are plugged into their community. That's amazing.
It is pretty incredible. NOEL has done so much already, and it'll be really interesting to see how they keep growing and changing things for the better in the years to come.
I'm with you there. This deep dive has been really eye-opening. I had no idea how inspiring the construction industry could be.
Right. There's always more to learn. And NOEL shows us that even in the most practical fields, you can find people with heart, with new ideas, and who are dedicated to building a better future for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Well, to everyone listening, we hope you found NOEL as impressive as we did. They're a perfect example of what happens when you combine knowledge and compassion, and how you can build more than just buildings. You can build a stronger, more resilient community.